The Nintendo Switch 2 has only been out for a little close to a year, and honestly, the game library is already stacked. We're talking RPGs, action games, horror, racing, it's got everything. So let's break down the 15 best AAA games you need to be playing right now. Pokémon Legends ZA takes place entirely inside Lumiose City, the Paris-inspired metropolis from the Kalos region. The story is set 5 years after Pokémon X and Y, and the city is going through a huge urban redevelopment project. You join Team MZ, a crew of teenagers trying to climb through the ranks of the ZA Royale, a citywide battle competition where you start at rank Z and grind your way up to rank A, with the promise of having any wish granted when you get there. The big change here is the combat. There are no turns anymore. Battles happen in real time, your Pokémon move around freely, and you have to think about move timing, cooldowns, and positioning. Catching Pokémon is still here too, and the city has wild zones built into it, little nature pockets where Pokémon roam. You can explore by day and battle by night.
Strike first before being seen, and you'll land a surprise attack. During battles, using a super effect.
Mario Kart World is the first proper new Mario Kart in over a decade, and it does not play it safe. The whole thing is built around one giant interconnected open world you drive between courses, instead of just selecting them from a menu. Races support up to 24 players, and the Grand Prix works differently now. You travel across 4 connected courses in a rally format, with the open roads between tracks counting as part of the race. There's also Knockout Tour, where you get eliminated if you don't place high enough at each checkpoint. The gameplay adds new moves like rail grinding, wall jumping, and even using boats and snowmobiles in certain areas. Free roam mode lets you cruise the world without a race, visit shops, collect food items to unlock character outfits, and take photos with friends online. The roster hits 50 racers, including tons of series newcomers. Final Fantasy Tactics: The Ivalice Chronicles. If you never got to play the original 1997 PlayStation Classic, now you have zero excuses. The Ivalice Chronicles is a full remaster of Final Fantasy Tactics, and it's one of the best tactical RPGs ever made, finally back and better than ever. The story follows Ramza Beulve, the third son of a powerful noble family, and his childhood friend Delita, who grew up among nobles despite being a commoner. The kingdom of Ivalice is caught in the middle of a brutal power struggle between 2 rival dukes, the War of the Lions, and these 2 friends end up on very different paths as a result. On the battlefield, you fight on isometric 3D grids, positioning your party, using terrain to your advantage, and managing turn order. The job system is massive, over 20 jobs, including White Mage, Dragoon, Summoner, and more. And once you learn an ability from one job, you can carry it into others.
You can count on me.
Octopath Traveler 0 is a prequel to the original game, set in the same continent of Orstera, and it shakes up the formula in some big ways. You create your own protagonist, someone whose hometown, Wishvale, gets destroyed by a trio of powerful villains who are chasing a divine ring with godlike power. Your mission is to rebuild Wishvale and bring these villains down, and as you travel the world, you recruit over 30 characters to join your cause. The town building mechanic is new to the series. You gather materials, construct buildings, and bring in residents to grow your base. The battle system is the best the series has ever had. You still use the break and boost system of exposing weaknesses to shatter enemy shields, but now your party can have up to 8 characters at once, split into a front row and a back row. New weapons, new hacking grid skills, and more ways to customize your team make every fight feel like a puzzle.
Right.
Dragon Quest VII Reimagined takes one of the longest and most ambitious entries in the series and makes it genuinely accessible for the first time. You play as the son of a fisherman on the tiny island of Istard, the only land left in the world as far as anyone knows. When you and your friends stumble into an ancient shrine, you get sent back in time and discover the truth. Entire islands were sealed away by an evil force, and the world you know is just a fragment of what it once was. Your job is to travel through the past, help those islands break free from darkness, and restore them to the present. The story is told as a series of self-contained stories. You visit a new island, learn about its people and its tragedy, then fix it. The new diorama art style looks like a moving miniature set and suits the game perfectly. The job system has been updated with the moonlighting mechanic, which lets you equip 2 vocations at once and level both simultaneously. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is honestly the best Indiana Jones anything since The Last Crusade, and now it's on Switch 2. The game is set in 1937, between Raiders of the Lost Ark and The Last Crusade, and it follows Indy as he investigates a series of ancient sites connected by a mysterious phenomenon called the Great Circle. The adventure takes you through iconic locations: the Vatican, Egypt, the jungles of Sukhothai, and every area is packed with secrets, puzzles, hidden chambers, and people to help. The core gameplay is a first-person adventure where you sneak past guards, use disguises, solve environmental puzzles, and get into brutal fistfights when stealth falls apart. Indy is not a superhero. Ammo is limited, enemies will mob you, and running is sometimes the smarter play. The whip is used for climbing, grabbing, and disarming, and it feels great. Voice actor Troy Baker does an excellent job carrying the character.
The mystery behind the Great Circle. From the pyramids of Giza to the sunken temples of Sukhothai and beyond. Use your wits to infiltrate historic areas.
Pragmata is Capcom's first brand new IP in years, and it went through a long development before finally landing on Switch 2 in April 2026, and it was worth the wait. The story puts you in the boots of Hugh, a kind of interplanetary maintenance worker who heads to a lunar research base after it goes dark. When he arrives, a moonquake kills his whole crew, and the station's AI goes haywire. The only survivor he finds is Diana, a young android wandering the corridors alone. Together, they need to fight through a facility full of hostile robots and find a way home. The combat is the standout. You play both characters at once. Hugh shoots and moves, while Diana hacks enemies in real time by navigating a small grid to hit nodes that weaken or expose the robot's armor. Once an enemy is hacked open, Hugh can deal serious damage. It's fast, layered, and surprisingly satisfying to master.
Right on. How you like this?
Got it!
Trails in the Sky First Chapter is a full 3D remake of the legendary Nihon Falcom RPG, and it's one of the best RPGs on the Switch 2, full stop. The game follows Estelle and Joshua, two aspiring bracers, basically licensed adventurers, as they travel across the kingdom of Liberal, taking on jobs, solving local problems, and slowly uncovering a political conspiracy that threatens everything. The story starts slow, but builds with real care. The world feels lived in, the characters have genuine depth, and the writing rewards players who pay attention. Combat is turn-based but strategic. You move characters across a grid battlefield, manage orbment-powered arts, magic, use crafts for special abilities, and chain your character's attacks for bonus effects. The remake builds everything in proper 3D, adds full English and Japanese voice acting, and overhauls the visuals while keeping the soul of the original intact. It scored 90 on Metacritic for Switch 2. Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D Remake. Two classic RPGs in one package, and both of them have been rebuilt from the ground up using the gorgeous HD 2D engine. These are the games that started it all, the grandfathers of the JRPG genre, and Square Enix went way further with these remakes than anyone expected. Dragon Quest 1 follows a lone hero, a descendant of the legendary warrior Erdrick, who must defeat the Dragon Lord and save a kidnapped princess. The original was a one-character, bare-bones adventure, but this remake adds entire new story beats, new characters, new locations, and reshapes the narrative into something emotionally resonant without losing the simplicity. Dragon Quest II then picks up a century later with a party of 3, crossing multiple kingdoms to confront a terrible sorcerer. The second game gets even more new content, new dungeons, expanded characters, and a brand new area.
In between fighting and exploring, you can also try your luck with the Tombola minigame, where you can win various prizes. Collect tickets on your...
Monster Hunter Stories 3 is the best game in the spin-off series by a wide margin, and it finally feels like a full-budget JRPG that belongs at the top table. The world is in trouble. A creeping disaster called the Crystal Encroachment is killing off entire monster species and driving others into a feral state. You're the heir to the kingdom of Azuria, the only Rathalos rider left in your realm, and you end up teaming up with the princess of a rival kingdom, Eleanor, to figure out what's causing it all. The two nations are on the brink of war, and that political tension runs through the whole story, which is the most mature in the series to date. Combat is turn-based, built around a rock-paper-scissors system of power, speed, and technical attacks. You read your enemy and respond with the right move. Build momentum through kinship, and trigger joint attacks with your monstie. The fact that Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade runs this well on a Nintendo handheld is still kind of unbelievable. This is the full PS5 Intergrade version, the expanded remake plus the UV episode running at a stable 30 frames per second on Switch 2, and it looks stunning in both docked and handheld mode. The game takes the first few hours of the original 1997 RPG and expands them into a 35-plus-hour experience set entirely in the city of Midgar. You follow Cloud Strife, a former elite soldier turned mercenary who gets hired by Avalanche, an eco-terrorist group trying to blow up Shinra's Mako reactors. Shinra is draining the literal life force of the planet to power the city, and Cloud doesn't care much about that until he starts to. The combat is real-time action, but with tactical depth. You manage ATB gauges, swap between party members, use abilities and spells mid-fight, and pause into a tactical mode when you need to think.
That hunk of junk is a heavy weapons platform. If we rush in, we die.
Is that right?
Need to hit it with magic.
Cyberpunk 2077 on a Nintendo Portable was a thing nobody thought was possible, and CD Projekt Red pulled it off. The game launched day one on Switch 2, alongside every other platform, came loaded on a full physical cartridge, and brought the entire Ultimate Edition base game, plus the Phantom Liberty expansion with it. You play as V, a customizable mercenary in Night City, a sprawling neon dystopia of gangs, megacorps, and chrome-plated everything. After a job gone wrong, V ends up with a dying relic chip implanted in their skull, carrying the digital ghost of Johnny Silverhand, a dead rock star with a vendetta. You have to figure out how to survive while Silverhand slowly takes over your mind. The gameplay is an open-world, first-person RPG. You can build V as a stealthy hacker, a run-and-gun fighter, a blade-wielding berserker, or mix them freely. Every side mission is layered and interesting, with consequences that loop back into the world.
Watch it! Take these, cabrones!
Donkey Kong Bananza is DK's first 3D adventure since Donkey Kong 64 in 1999, and it's an absolute showcase for what Switch 2 can do. The setup is simple. Void Company, an evil mining conglomerate led by the menacing Void Kong, steals all the Banandium gems from Ingot Isle and sends DK tumbling underground. Down in the depths, he meets Pauline, a 13-year-old girl with a singing voice powerful enough to blast through rock and give DK new animal transformations. Together, they're heading for the planet core, where legend says any wish can be granted. The gameplay is a 3D platformer built around full environmental destruction. You punch, smash, and dig through nearly everything in the world. Almost every surface is breakable, and the more you destroy, the more secrets open up. DK gets Bananza transformations over time, a powered-up gorilla form, one that lets him glide, one that lets him swim at speed.
They're not always visible, though. Sometimes they're buried in the walls, the ground, and other places. There are a whole bunch to find.
Pokémon Pokopia is the freshest thing the Pokémon franchise has put out in years. The world has fallen silent, humans are gone, Pokémon have vanished, and all that's left is an empty land and a lone Tangrowth. You play as a Ditto that wakes up and decides to do something about it. You transform into a human-like form and start rebuilding this world from scratch. The gameplay blends Animal Crossing with Minecraft and wraps it in the entire Pokédex. You gather wood, rocks, and materials to build furniture and homes, till fields to grow food, and create habitats that attract specific Pokémon to come live with you. Each Pokémon has its own personality, preferences, and things they want. When you befriend them, they teach your Ditto new moves. Bulbasaur's Leafage to grow plants, Squirtle's Water Gun to water crops, and those moves let you reshape the world further. There's no combat at all, which makes the environmental message of the game land harder. Resident Evil Requiem launched day one on Switch 2, the first time a mainline RE has been on Nintendo hardware since RE4, and the port is genuinely impressive. The story follows two characters, Grace Ashcroft, an FBI analyst and desk worker who is terrified of what she's walking into, and Leon Kennedy, the franchise's most iconic hero, who shows up later with guns blazing. Grace gets called to investigate the Wrenwood Hotel, the site of her mother's death, and things spiral fast. She ends up trapped in Rhodes Hill Chronic Care Center, upside down with her blood being drained, and has to escape while the place falls apart around her. Her sections play like a classic survival horror game, first person, limited ammo, scarce resources, and zombies with actual individual behaviors. Leon's sections switch to third-person action with weapon shops and a familiar Tetris inventory. The switch between both styles keeps the game fresh from start to finish. And that's the list. 15 incredible games that prove the Switch 2 is already one of the strongest consoles in years. Let me know in the comments which one you're playing, and if you think I missed something, drop it below. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one.